Let's get to the games. You got two Saturday games. First off, Texans at Chiefs. The Chiefs are -9, 9-point favorites. The over/under 41. Zach. So the Texans pulled off. They pull off the upset against the Chargers. Chiefs and I feel like the Chiefs haven't played a game since like freaking last year.
I mean, they certainly haven't cared about a game since that late
Right.
last year.
Yeah.
I mean, so I mean, if I'm looking at this, I gotta take the over. That is such a low over, 41 points. I understand the Chiefs got a great defense, but Texans are gonna score at least 14 to 17 points against the Chiefs. So if the Chiefs are gonna cover a 9-point spread, it's an over game. So I'll take the over.
See, that's my fear now. Not one game on wild card week went over, and I bet a couple over. I bet a couple overs on that. By the way, for the record, and that did not hit whatsoever. So now I'm fearful of doing that. But the thing is, you do the opposite thing the opposite week, then the thing you thought wouldn't happen happens again on the other way. So I understand that. I'll say as much. That over under is low enough to take the over. I'm with you, and I'm more. And I feel like that maybe it will hit on this game, but I think KC. Look, Houston is for as much of an underwhelming season has been for them, winning a game that pretty much 80% of the public had them losing. I think makes the season a good year for them. The fact that
absolutely.
And by the way, Trevor Lawrence, not Trevor, well, not Trevor Lawrence, but Justin Herbert for record, got that conversation about him going forward about where he stands in the pecking order of things, because he now has two bad playoff losses. One, a blown lead against the Jaguars a couple of years back, and then this week, of course, against the Texas team that probably should have beaten. Really threw more picks in that game than the entire season. What a meltdown by that guy. Meanwhile, C.J. Stroud, 2 years in the league, 2 playoff wins.
Hey, this was the guy you thought was going to be an MVP this year. So
yeah. I mean, underwhelming season overall, but yeah, exactly. But this is where the ride ends, man. Obviously, I'm assuming you think the Chiefs win the game. I mean, I don't think that's too. I don't think that's silly enough to think otherwise. I think KC covers this game. Actually, to be honest with you, even 9 points.
Wow.
This is their time to shine, and not for nothing. Denver Broncos lost aside, because they didn't even play anybody for that game. They've been playing very good football, and their offense has gotten much better the last couple of weeks prior to that Broncos game. Of course, we don't count that game. Mahomes is starting to pick up the slack now, and the offense is playing much better. Remember that game in Pittsburgh on Christmas Day? Slaughter those guys. They've been playing much better offensive football the last couple of weeks. So, and with rest now, they're going to get guys back this week off injury. I feel like, yes, this is going to be a competitive game in spots, but ultimately it's an Arrowhead. I think KC will find a way to cover 9 points, and I think the best bet is to cover 9 points because KC is who they are. So KC is the best bet for me, -9. All right, next game here. Here we go. Your game. Your Commanders at Lions. The Commanders are 9.5-point favorites. The over/under, Zachary, 55. Wow.
Look, I mean, we score points. Detroit scores a ton of points.
Yeah.
I mean, 55 is a lot. I was expecting maybe 51, 52 max.
Yeah. Because the playoffs, right?
Yeah. If I was on Hard Rock's app, I would be betting Detroit total point over, first half over. But as a Commander fan, and the fact Detroit is going to be so amped, I'm actually going to go under for the game.
Really?
Yes, because if Detroit shows up, their defense will show up, and they'll give Washington a hard time.
Similar to what they did in Minnesota 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I don't disagree, because when we're doing our picks on the Huddle Up podcast last night, because the way we do it on there with the picks, we do both the spread and the over/under. We pick both. And I said I think this is going to be under. I was the only one in the panel that took the under. because I think the defense will show up at least somewhat against Detroit and the playoffs too. Also, yeah, I mean, you got to figure Washington might be a little tight. I mean, you think so, but Jane Daniels is playing a damn veteran. Like, how long's been in the league now? Seriously, if you look at Jane Daniels, you didn't know nothing about Jane Daniels. You see that quarterback, think, oh my god, that guy's been in the league 4, 5,
I mean,
6 years.
19 games typically means you're halfway through your second season.
Oh,
So
I get that, but still, I mean, the composure of that kid. You guys have a that guy's gonna terrorize my team for the next 10 years, at least 10 years. So, that being said, you have the under. I have the under too, also, but I don't think it's the best bet. The best bet for me here is actually Detroit. I just think, and again, healthy too. On top of that, Montgomery's back this week. I think Hutchinson's back also this week. He's up. He's back soon. I know that.
yeah,
Um, Home crowd will be buzzing. Yeah. Could I see this game being competitive in spots and maybe third quarter they're within range? Maybe the Commanders have a chance to tie a game, maybe take a lead, possibly. But I think ultimately Detroit is just too good. They are literally a system in itself, a machine, and I think they'll find a way to cover the 9.5 points. So give me the best bet for me is taking Detroit. Detroit to cover 9.5 points.
yeah. I really hope Detroit wins because if Washington pulls the upset, I don't know if my wife or
I'll just
her. My
I,
wife probably won't talk to me for a week,
I'm just gonna ask you that. How's that gonna work out?
and
Because
her
she's a Lions
family
fan,
probably will hate my guts. So
but they understand you're a longtime Commanders fan, right? It is what it is.
yeah, it doesn't matter. They all believe it's a Super Bowl this year. So
Yeah.
yeah, if my team were to be the one that screws that up, it'd be bad.
And I'll tell you what, too. Also, this is something Chris our own Chris Manick alluded to on the show before the year started, and he even said this even last year that this window for the Lions might be shorter than we think because of the amount of interest in the coaching staff, who has done a phenomenal job these last 3 years. Aaron Glenn definitely got a lot of talk for coaching jobs. He's already taking interviews as is. Ben Johnson also too. So this window to win a title, or he's got the Super Bowl, is now, really for the Lions.
Yeah, I don't see it that way because I think you have a solid 4 years left of this window for Detroit. Hutchinson, what, second year? Jameer Gibbs, second year. You have Jared Goff. He's locked into a contract. The only big money concern right now, because they signed St. Brown,
Mm-hmm.
is literally probably deciding do they give a franchise tag or actually, I don't even know if they have to worry about the franchise tag. It might be just picking up a fifth year option on JMO this year off
Okay.
season.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
about it. They don't really have much to worry about.
Right. All right. Well, in any case, Detroit is to me my best bet for this week. On this game to cover. All right. Sunday games. Rams at Eagles. The Eagles are 6-point favorites. The over under Zach is 44.
Oh, there's nothing out there that tells me the Rams are going to have a repeat performance like they did against the Vikings. Now, does that mean the Eagles show up and blow them out? I don't think so. Personally, I would lean more turn towards it being another under game. Because if you can stop Saquon Barkley with that pass rush that the Rams showed this past weekend, or on Monday night, I think it's going to be a low scoring game again.
So here's a reference point here. These two teams played early this year. I think it was week 10. Saquon Barkley had 250 something yards rushing in that game. So if we're using that now, having said that, um, the Rams are a much different team than they were in the middle of the year. They're healthier. They're young. Stafford's cooking right now. Um, the receivers are healthy now. Puka Nakua, and Cooper Cup both healthy. Williams, the running back, is playing very, very well. But the thing is, this game to me hinges on the weather. It's the weather game. If the weather is clear, the Rams have a chance. If the weather is a little bit mucky, windy, or snow, or rain, it's all Eagles. And I found out today that there's supposed to be snow coming in at about 2:30, right before kickoff, on Sunday. So if that plays out that way, Eagles. This is all Eagles. The best way for the Rams to win this game, honestly, they have to force Jalen Hurts the ball. They have to force a shootout. So they got to score. Almost every possession they have score. The more you score and the more you stay in that game, you're forcing the Eagles to throw the ball probably in a shootout, which means Jalen Hurts is only gonna make mistakes because if Saquon Barkley has the ball on the ground, he's gonna do what he does like he did last time in Week 10. Um. Anyway, that being said, you have the under, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles to cover. That weather alone is scaring me. Now, however, if the weather is clear, if things clear up, on Sunday, then I like the Rams on the points. But because of the weather, I just think the Eagles, have all the advantages there. Home field advantage. Obviously, the Rams going out east. That they're a finesse team. They don't do the weather thing. So, give me the Eagles here to cover 6 points here. Is my best bet. All right, and finally, here it is, the game of the year. Probably the best game of the entire playoffs, in my opinion. This is probably the Super Bowl, honestly, we're being honest. Ravens at Bills. Ravens are 1 point favorites. The over-under is 51.5, Zach.
I like the Ravens, man. Look, Ravens defense is second half of the season has probably been top 10. All right. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, they're just going to run all over the Bills line. And I don't care how great Josh Allen plays, it's just not going to be enough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love the Ravens in this game.
I do too. And this is less about Josh Allen in Buffalo because what they've done this year has been very impressive. I think, I'm not sure where you stood on this one, but I definitely had the Bills taking a step back this year. You lose Gabe Davis, you lose um, Stephon Diggs, and some defensive players also too on that side of the ball. This is not about Josh Allen. This is more about the roster somewhat looking as like a slow reset. And all they do is win 14 games, number 2 seed in the AFC. Um, Josh Allen's my pick for MVP, and they've done everything possible. Um, and so if they lose this game, I don't think it's necessarily them underwhelming because, quite frankly, I haven't gone to the playoffs this year, and they've done everything more than I thought they do. Having said all that, as you mentioned with the Ravens in the second half of the year, since the bye week, because the big bugaboo this year, most of the year, was their defense was shit, and since the bye week, that has now been corrected. And to boot, you got those two guys on the other side of the ball, Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, and Lamar Jackson with Derrick Henry now in that lineup is a completely different quarterback. He is now dangerous upon dangerous. And I'll tell you right now, let me ask you a question: this, who's under more pressure to win this game? Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson?
Oh, I still think it's Lamar Jackson.
I agree.
His playoff record is abysmal. And now you have a weapon like Derrick Henry who can just run over anybody on any defense. He is scary.
Oh my
Okay,
God.
I guess Saquon Barkley put up more yardage,
Mm-hmm.
but if I'm picking a running back for this year or next year, it's Derrick Henry. That dude is scary when you combine him with Lamar.
Yep, I totally agree with you. You saw in that game too. Also, Lamar early in the game, he's running out of the pocket. He's stretching that defense. He's kind of like throwing jabs to the defense, and then here's Derrick Henry later on with the knockout. That's the formula. Honestly, this game, I don't think this game's gonna be. When I say close, it's gonna be close, I guess, by the score. But Baltimore will control this game from start to finish. And to boot, they played early in the year in Baltimore, and Baltimore beat the crap out of them for the same reason. Derrick Henry ran all over them. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Derrick had 200 yards in the game. If I'm not mistaken.
I can easily see it again.
Yeah, I just think Baltimore is just better. They're just better. I think height of powers of all these 8 teams, height of powers, I think the Ravens are the best team in football.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think Derrick Henry is so motivated. I don't believe there's a defense that can stop him.
Yeah. So give me the Ravens to. I mean, obviously 1 point favorites. It's the best bet, but the Ravens outright. So I'm there. All right. So